In today's video, we're going to put side by side the Logitech G923 and the Logitech G series and also the Moza R3. But this video is also about a wider conversation between wheels like this and the Trustmaster T300RS and also the new generation of small direct drive wheels just like this one, but not really exclusive to this one. Logitech sent the G923 for review, and I've also received the Moza R3 from Moza, and I have an affiliate link with them. Let's start from the beginning. So why would you choose one thing over the other? Well, most of the times, all the selections that you do in sim racing, as you should do it in your real life, is to pick up what are your wants and what are your needs, how much you need to spend, and if you can spend a little more, if you're going to get some extra that might be useful for you. I've been banging about this point for years now. Buying the cheapest thing isn't generally the best or the worst thing, or buying the most expensive thing doesn't mean it's going to be the best or the worst choice. It always depends on what are your objectives, and in the case of sim racing, the features that you actually need. In terms of this Logitech G wheel, it costs around £289, $300, about €300. It really depends on what time of year. Sometimes you can get it for cheaper, and some places actually put it for a little higher. And in the case of the Moza R3, this is around £399, around $450, and also about €450. Once again, depending on tax, availability, and all of that. In theory, these are very similar packages. The Moza R3 is PC and Xbox compatible, and the Logitech G wheel, it will depend on which version you buy. You have a PlayStation version, you have also an Xbox version, and it will also be compatible with the PC. In theory, these are two similar packages. They offer a base, a wheelbase. They offer a wheel. In the case of the G923, this wheel is standing connected to the wheelbase. In the case of the R3, it has a quick release, and they also have a pedal set. The pedal set on the Logitech G wheel is a 3-set pedal set, and the set on the R3 is a SRP Lite that only has a pedal for throttle and the brake, and if you want a clutch, you'll have to buy that separately. If you want to buy a shifter, it is cheaper for the Logitech wheel. In this case, it will be around €40, €40, $40. But in the case of the Moza, if you want to connect it directly to the back and have the compatibility to the Xbox, that will cost you around $129, but you have also access to a handbrake if you want to, while on the Logitech, there's no handbrake from Logitech as of this moment. So in one side, we have something that is actually cheaper. That will be the Logitech G wheel. And if you also have the PlayStation compatibility, this is a cheaper way to get the PlayStation compatibility. If you want to do something like that on a direct drive, you need to go to the Fanatec GTDD Pro, and that will be around £800, £900, depending what you get. While with the Moza, while a little bit more expensive for the PC and Xbox, it does have other possibilities. It has more venues to pursue what you want in it. Let's start with the technical aspects of the wheelbase. The Logitech wheel is a gear-driven wheel. That means there's a small motor inside that is connected to a gear that will then move around the wheel on the front. This brings a set of advantages. Normally, it's cheaper to produce something like this. In this case, that even you can go and offer a wheel that has PlayStation support, but also comes with a set of disadvantages, which is a slower movement wheel that has a fixed limit in terms of movement. And also in terms of torque, it doesn't offer too much torque because it's a very small motor, even if it does a little bit of multiplication inside. And essentially, in terms of force feedback fidelity, it isn't really that good. It does a decent job. We're talking about that, a wheel that was starting development back in 2006 or something like that. It does a decent job, but compared to the newer generations, it does leave a lot lacking. And then for something like a direct drive, it is completely different. Basically, you have a shell. Inside of the shell, the biggest thing you're going to have inside is basically the motor. The motor is connected directly to the shaft. This means you're going to have the full fidelity of the motor connected directly into the wheel, and it will be much faster, it will be much smoother, and it will generally provide much better force feedback. The pedals are somewhat basic. They do everything they need to do slightly well. You have access to mods to it in terms of rates. The throttle and the clutch and the brake, they are soft and you can mount them into a wheel stand if you want to, but in terms of rates, they are made so that you can use them on the floor, and the pedals have some sorts of spikes so you can use them over carpets. The pedals are basic, but they work rather well. In terms of performance, you can't really complain that much for the price it has because, you know, for the Logitech G923, the price tends to be around $200, £200 or something like that, and you can't really ask much more of it from a wheel like this. And even so that these wheels have been around for so long, they are still remained quite competent. And one person that did it really well is Digit Racing. He changed his Fanatec Club Sport DD wheel into this one for a week to see what was his performance like, and it wasn't too bad. It was actually not too far away from what he normally has. The main difference will be in terms of consistency, and this is something really important, especially in endurance racing, and if you actually want to improve a little bit, having access to better equipment, while not strictly necessarily it's going to give you more racing pedigree or whatever, you know, it's always good to have, and it helps unlock that little extra bit. But still, even to this day, a lot of drivers use these and they will bit me. But it's when you start using wheelbases like this that are a direct drive that you see that wheelbases like the Logitech wheel or the Trustmasters, they lack something. First of all, in terms of torque, even though this wheel doesn't have that much torque over a Trustmaster T300 RS, this is 3.9, the T-Trustmaster is around 3.2, 3.5, the Logitech is about 2.7, so in between 20 to 50% more torque than those wheels. You can see that the torque isn't exactly the same. Of course, first of all, the wheel will be far smoother. You won't be feeling the cogging that much compared to the Logitech. Actually, you won't be feeling cogging at all. You also see that these wheels provide their torque much more immediately. They're much faster to respond to whatever is happening to your car or the changing conditions in the asphalt or the tarmac or the gravel. This is where the findings of Digit Racing about being more consistent in a direct drive compared to the Logitech G wheel, that they start to make a little more sense. If a wheelbase gives you information faster in changing conditions, in finding the state of the tires, or if you're losing control of the car, that means you have the information faster to you. Therefore, you can take your reactions faster to the changing conditions. And because of it, you're going to be naturally more consistent. That means apples to apples. When you start comparing one to the other in the same conditions, the direct drives will always be superior. But that doesn't mean that somebody with a Logitech wheel is not going to beat you, because they are still going to beat you, but regardless, the consistency is still very important. But there's also another part of it in this package when you compare one to one, which will be the pedal set. The pedal set is, in my opinion, where you get most of the performance, or it's where it's easier to get to better performance. If you are going to buy either a wheelbase or a pedal set, and if you're going to stay on a Logitech wheel or going to buy a direct drive and you keep the same pedal set, it's much better to spend that money in a pedal set other than a wheelbase. And in my opinion, the pedals of the Logitech are a little more competent in their base form than the pedals of the Moza R3 that goes inside the bundle. But it's very easy to go around it because Moza does offer a performance kit that makes those pedals much better than even the T3PAs with the pedal mod they offer, and I like those very much. And you can also have access to load cell pedals. You can buy another set if you want to. You can do a lot of things with it. You can modify it much easier than the Logitech wheels, but you can also do that on the Logitech wheels. Speaking of modding the Logitech wheel, and if you're staying with that, here's a tip. There is something called a True Brake from AXC. I've tested like 2 years ago, and it's probably the best mod you're going to find for the Logitech pedals, period. But you know, once again, apples to apples, while the Logitech pedal set feels to me a little bit better, and it does have a clutch if you want to use a clutch, it's easier to unlock much better performance with the pedal set of the Moza R3, because with 25 pounds, you can basically go far and above what the Logitech offering gets you. But performance is only one part of the equation. In sim racing, everything is about context and your needs and your wants and all of that. It's very easy to actually go for the Logitech wheel without looking at the Moza for one very simple specific reason, and that would be PlayStation compatibility if you're going to use it. The Moza doesn't offer that at the moment unless you have a Moza R5, which is another choice, and you need to spend, $100 extra to buy a box like this that will give you a non-native solution for the PlayStation. That the experience might not be the best, but that's another thing. In terms of price, of course, when you go to a Logitech G29 compared to a Moza, well, the 29 will be about half the price, and for many people will be, just enough to say, no, there's no point going to the Moza, and that's very much justifiable. But if you're going to a Logitech wheel like the G923 or the Master T300 RS, the price difference isn't really that much. In my opinion, and of course this is my opinion, the choices for a Logitech G29 should be done in the way of I need the PlayStation access or I need to spend as little as money as possible. And in this case, the Logitech G29 will serve you right well. And for me, it should be the bare minimum for sim racing because it offers you everything that you need. The point is trying to balance cost versus performance versus features. If I would go towards, the console with the Xbox, maybe depending on the game, I would also go with this over the Logitech, but the Logitech will also have much better implementation in the console. However, if you want to center yourself more on the PC and sometimes dabble with console gameplay on the Xbox in this case, well, the Moza R9 for me, even though it's a little more expensive than the Logitech G923 and it's twice almost the price of the Logitech G29, I think that price difference is justified because you are able to unlock a lot of stuff and have a much better performance and also a much better experience with the Moza than you have on the Logitech. However, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. Which one would you take? Moza, Logitech, somewhere else around the same price? Maybe that will help somebody. Press like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.